You are trapped in a stone cell beneath the greatest killing floor on earth. Above you, 50,000 Romans scream as your husband dies fighting a lion. The crowd leaves. The torches dim. Then heavy footsteps approach your door. A shadow blocks the light. It is the gladiator who survived today's slaughter. A guard unlocks your cell. The gladiator points at you. This isn't horror fiction. This was Tuesday in the Roman Empire. Forget the Hollywood version of Gladiators. Forget the honor and the rebellion. I'm going to show you the history they bury, the systematic, state-sponsored nightmare that began after the crowds went home. Historians call it Victoria Carnalis, the Carnal Victory. To the Romans, it was just normal. Writers like Martial and Seneca documented a world where conquered women were warehoused beneath arenas. They were distributed as prizes, handed out like rations to the men who killed well. The Roman state operated this system with the same cold efficiency used to build their aqueducts. To understand this horror, you must first understand the inventory. When Rome crushed a rebellion in Gaul or Judea, they didn't just win a battle. They processed a population. Men went to mines. Children were sold. Women became captivae, war prizes. Under Roman law, these people were not human. They were classified as res, things, property. Legally, they were furniture that breathed. You could do anything to a res, and it was never a crime. Rome dehumanized them through spectacle. During the midday lull, they held mythological reenactments. The poet Martial describes a prisoner dressed as Orpheus, led into the arena with a harp, then mauled to death by a bear. He describes a woman forced to reenact the myth of Pasiphae, publicly violated by a bull until she died. Martial wasn't horrified. He reviewed it like a food critic. He praised the realism. This industrialized machinery of cruelty processed women into the reward system for gladiators. Gladiators were a paradox, slaves, yet celebrities. Their sweat was collected, mixed with olive oil, and sold to noble women as an aphrodisiac. But Rome lived in terror of them. The Spartacus rebellion was burned into their memory. An army of slaves nearly destroyed the empire. So, to control these dangerous men, Rome used rewards, extra food, gold, and access to the women held beneath the arena. The process was chillingly bureaucratic. After a victory, the gladiator was escorted into the Hypogeum. He walked past animal cages to the captive cells. Archaeological evidence from the Colosseum reveals small chambers with stone benches, iron rings anchored into walls, and doors that lock from the outside. These women were catalogued in ledgers: female, Germanic, age 20, good health. The gladiator chose. The door opened. The state considered its debt paid. The archaeology is damning. When teams excavated beneath the Colosseum, they found chambers with no logistical purpose. The walls show evidence of scratching, desperate fingernails trying to dig through solid stone. In the amphitheater in Capua, archaeologists found graffiti scratched into the walls. One reads, "I was Amelia. I saw my children killed. Now I am nothing." Another reads, "To any god who listens, let me die before tomorrow." These aren't the voices history preserves. Roman writers named emperors. They didn't record the names of property, but the stones remember. For a woman in this situation, the journey was a descent through hell. You watched your village burn. You marched hundreds of miles. You were stripped, examined, assigned a number, and locked in the dark. The goal was psychological warfare. The message to conquered nations was clear. Resist Rome, and this is what happens to your daughters. Occasionally, the system broke. On rare occasions, women fought back as gladiatrices. Some were slaves forced to fight. Others were noble women seeking power. In 200 AD, Emperor Septimius Severus attended games featuring female fighters. The crowd jeered. They treated the combat as an obscene joke. Severus was mortified, not by the violence, but by the lack of dignity. So, he banned women from fighting. Think about that. He didn't ban the abuse in the cells below. He only banned women from fighting in the spotlight. The emperor was fine with the horror as long as it stayed in the shadows. The games continued even after Rome became Christian. The system only died when the empire collapsed and the supply of captives dried up. Today, tourists take selfies at the Colosseum. They marvel at the engineering. Most never mention the chambers below. The iron rings are still there. The scratch marks are still there. The Colosseum stands as a monument to what empire actually means. Not just the grand architecture, but the industrialized horror required to maintain absolute power. Every stone in that arena was paid for with lives deliberately destroyed. The spectacle on the sand was only the half Rome wanted you to see. The other half happened in the dark. In the moments after the crowd's roar faded into silence,